All right, code keepers, get your notepads, your notebooks. It's time to take some copious notes. We're learning tonight. It's time for Professor Kimya's class.
Black diamond, 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 black diamond.
Grandpa Crump. Yee. All right, code keepers. Whew. I tell you, I have my note paper ready. I'm probably going to have to go through about 5 or 10 of these tonight. We'll see. I'm learning something intriguing tonight. In our last conversation, in our last class, Doc shared with me that I may have gotten some false knowledge. We'll find out. So we're going to talk about it. And so tonight's conversation, we came before Columbus. Is that false consciousness? I don't know. And then we're going to start off with some questions that I have. So my first question was, what was wrong with Dr. Ivan VanSertima's book? You know, I kind of grew up, reading his book. I want to say, I was shared with you earlier, like circa 1984. That's the wrong book. All right. So, 1984, 1985, I was reading under the guidance of some of my elders. They came before Columbus, and also the book that I mistakenly quoted yesterday in the last class, Before the Mayflower. Leon, you have if you can show it to the code keepers. What's that book? Yeah, Before the
Mayflower.
Mayflower.
Jr. It does not falsely claim that we are indigenous to Western Hemisphere. It's a wonderful book. And it does not falsely claim that we are indigenous to Western Hemisphere. Message, as Keenan Allen Williams would say.
All right. Well, with that message, what's wrong with Dr. Sertima's book? Dr. Ivan VanSertima. It was one of my favorite books. I watched his video 3 or 4 times. I still actually have his video on on VCR tape. What was wrong with his book?
Well, I always tell Black folks, humans have written for potentially hundreds of thousands of years in different forms. So I always tell our people, you can read whatever. I just want our people to understand the difference between fact and fiction, the difference between opinion, personal belief, and trying to expand that to mean fact without proving it as fact. So VanSertima's claim was false. It still is false. He was a graduate student when he wrote that book. He made some observations without conducting research. Observations were finding symbols of people with large noses, large lips, symbols that seemed like they had a little bit more melanin. And the conclusion was these must be basically Black folks, okay? It was published in the 1970s during a time where Black folks were and still are very desperate for pride. And unfortunately, it was a bestseller book back then. And people love it in 2024, not because people read a lot, not because people do research, but because a lot of people want something that seems quick answers. And I don't waste time trying to beg people to not believe it. I mean, some of us have taught about this. We've done presentations. We've written about this on social media for years, entire interviews, writings. And people who still want to believe it, we're not going to waste time trying to convince otherwise. What I focus on is telling Black people, I use the phrase, believe what you want, receive what you want. You cannot deceive who you want. I only care about the attempt at deceiving our people. That's what I do not allow. So you can believe whatever you want to believe, but it's the deception part when you try to expand it to other Black folks and you try to add it to schools and everywhere else that impacts our people as a collective for centuries to come. That's where the rest of us step in. So there it is.
That's intriguing, because that's a mind shift for me. Like I said, 1984, 85, 86, I was reading that book. I was watching the videos. You know, I was really tight with Runoko Rashidi. And, Runoko Rashidi really talked about the global African presence. And so I still do presentations on the global African presence, using a lot of Runoko Rashidi's information and using some of Ivan VanSertima's information. So this is an interesting shift for me. I must say, a peace to Emmanuel, peace to you, Emmanuel. I must say that this is going to be a bit of a struggle for me and others like me.
Good. I want Black folks to understand the struggle has to be within. It has to be within us yourself. It has to be within the inner world of Black folks for our culture, as Harold Cruse explains. The struggle cannot be blaming oppressors for everything. Non-Blacks and their sellouts actually love that Black folks believe anything sold to them. You show Black folks somebody with round lips and some brown skin around.
Actually, you kind of went out, Doc. You kind of froze there for a moment. So you said show Black folks pictures of people with brown skin and wide noses, and then that's the last thing I heard.
Yeah, it seems like the storms here in Baltimore are tripping. Yeah, I was saying that non-Blacks and sellouts love our people to be easily distracted by anything. You tell us we're indigenous to the Western Hemisphere. You tell us that we are overall Moors, Hebrews. You tell us anything. And Black folks will pretend that we are the population size majority of the world. So I always tell Black folks, if you want to believe that, that's on you. Non-Blacks and their sellouts really want you to believe anything sold to you so that you can be perplexed, confused, befuddled as to why, how can you be the population size majority of the world, so you claim, but then you are the power minority and claim to be oppressed all over the place. That's why I tell Black folks, you have to explain that. If you want to go around the world and every time you find a brown-skinned person with a big nose, you want to make them Black and tell them they can come to the cookout, that's on you. But then you have to say, if everyone's at the cookout with you just because they're brown skin and a big nose and big lips, I'm really serious right now. Just because somebody is at your cookout because they're brown skin with a big nose and big lips, you done went to East India, you done went to Philippines, you went all over the world, and just because somebody looks like this image that you pretend is the only way to be Black, and now they all have the Black card, they have the cookout card and everything, but then you are perplexed as to how and why our people are struggling, and the people you've given the cookout card to are not in line with helping our people from the struggle, then that is 100% the fault of the people who are pretending everyone's Black. So again, those of you who want to believe Sertima and all the other stuff, you can. That's on you. Okay? Emmanuel Briggs is throwing y'all out there. That's right. That's right, Emmanuel. Go ahead, throw them out there.
Yo, Emmanuel, I thought we were cool, bro. I thought we were cool.
like Emmanuel, I tell Black folks, Emmanuel, look, we tell our people, we love our people, but we also have to hold our people accountable. Every African/Black trailblazer has held our people accountable. That's what it means to love each other. It means we can't accept everything.
Okay. Because I do entire presentations where I highlight, the Aida people in the Philippines, and I talk about well, you know what? I'm learning tonight, so Doc.
Humans have migrated around the world first of all, humans have existed for potentially more than 1 million years, have migrated around the world for hundreds of thousands of years. I want Black folks to understand K through 12 does not have to teach this to you. Your family should teach this to you. Before there were continents, we had this.
We had this what? Yeah, either the storms in your area of Baltimore is really messing with your technology and your Wi-Fi and all that.
Yeah, because the
ancestors are trying to stop you.
Well, no, it's literally storms because we've had trees falling down and so forth.
But, yeah, we're having it in this area as well. I'm just joking. Yeah. You know I joke. So
well, type to me when you can't hear me. Let me know because I'm just talking and I'm like I hope they hear me right now. But
yeah, the good thing is the finished version will make sure we have all of your talking.
Okay.
So that was Dr. Ivan VanSertima. So that hurt me to my heart. I'm going to do some copious studying. Dr. David Imhotep. Dr. David Imhotep hung out with me and a lot of us in the Hampton Roads area. We got a chance to promote and sell his book, The First Americans Were Africans, Documented Proof.
First of all, this stolen Western Hemisphere was not even the Americas, okay? Look here, y'all. Okay, like I was explaining before the Baltimore storm was coming through, okay? Like the old Negro spiritual go, the storm came coming through. Okay, so before there were continents, this wide span of land, before the water turned it into continents, humans were spreading all over the world for hundreds of thousands of years, all right? So you can go all around the world and find people who have a certain feature that are like, oh, wow, they look like they could be Black. They look like they could be native to Africa, all types of things. But not everyone is directly a descendant of Africa, meaning more recent than thousands of years, just because they have certain physical features. You will go to East India, parts of the Middle East, and find the darkest person you've ever seen in terms of beautiful melanin. That does not automatically make them Black. Same thing happens when you go to Philippines and other places. So someone saying that the first Americans were Black, first of all, that's false because, again, it was not originally America.
All right. Okay. I'll give you. Okay. Okay.
But again, this is why I tell Black folks, because, you know, when we speak knowledge, people get mad that like y'all formally educated Negroes. Well, some of the people that y'all are believing, they have a PhD before I had a PhD. Okay, so they're formally educated Negroes too, and they spitting nonsense. I'm spitting facts. Okay, so I just want everybody to understand. You got to think about the brainwashing. Black folks have to teach facts in households. Teach it in the households. This is why I specialize in curriculum development, but I specialize in teaching Black folks how to teach curriculum development within the house, within our communities, within our collectives. And then we bring information into schools. We don't wait for schools to change curriculum. We don't wait for schools to tell us everything to read and to learn. That has to come first and foremost with families, with parents saying they love to read and we like to talk about it. It's okay to read some things that are not 100% factual, but you have to know which things are fact, which things are false, which things were considered factual a century ago, and which things scientists have studied since then and said, you know, this is no longer considered factual. I want Black folks to understand there's a reason why we're always considered paranoid and skeptical. There's a historical reason for that. Okay. And that's because of oppression, feeling like everything was stolen from us. But again, if you feel like you are indigenous to Western Hemisphere, you have to really question, or if you think you're indigenous to all over the world, like there are Black folks who pretend that we're native to everywhere around the world. We just control everything, right? If that is the falsehood you're perpetuating, then how in the world can you be so prevalent but not powerful? How can you be so weak then that everything's stolen from you mysteriously? All the sciences, mathematics, medicines, everything's stolen from you, but you're everywhere, nationwide, worldwide.
I'm gonna have to ponder that. I gotta ponder that.
Okay, well, Black folks, we can ponder for 5 more centuries or thousands of years, even if you want to look at the timeline of Arab Muslim colonizers. How much are we going to ponder before Black folks just self-reflect and be like, yo, we've been in some foolishness for a minute. Now let's cancel this foolishness and develop the inner world that Harold Cruse talks about. And start some development. Actually, not start. I mean, Black folks have been doing development regarding race for centuries. We have 5 centuries of that. So we have wonderful trailblazers who've laid down those foundations. We have to follow their foundations. They've told us to not distract from everything. So that's why I don't always correct things. When some Black folks call themselves Moors, Hebrews, Indigenous to the Western Hemisphere, I don't run around everywhere correcting everyone. I just let people know. My phrase is, believe what you want, receive what you want. You cannot deceive who you want. So I don't challenge everyone.
Whoa. You got to say that again. I love that. Say that again.
Believe what you want, receive what you want. You cannot deceive who you want. So whenever I hear Black folks claim to be Moors, Hebrews, Indigenous to the Western Hemisphere, I say you can personally feel that way. Like your whole family can feel like that about yourselves. The problem is when you say we all are, like pretending all of us are Moors, all of us are Hebrews, all of us are Indigenous to the Western Hemisphere. That's 100% undebatable falsehood. You're trying to put that falsehood in schools, in government policies, procedures, laws. You're trying to put it everywhere. And that's when you cannot deceive us because it's harmful when it comes to economic development, education development, medical and health resources. So that's where I step in. I let people believe what they want to believe, because I love our people. I tell our people, like, I don't stop belief systems. We can do some, 5% of ciphers, rhyming and stuff together. But the moment you try to say what I'm saying connects to all of us, that's when I step in, because I can't allow you to teach that to young people, teach that to other Black folks, and convey that such that if I don't challenge it, it will come across that Dr. Dennis agrees with it. You never gonna see me sign off on this. So when I'm quiet in the corner, It's like I agree.
That I do have that. I guess I'm aligned with you there because I've had that same discussion with a lot of my Moorish Science Temple brothers and the other Moorish brothers and some of the other indigenous groups that I'm part of, connected to, or hang out with. And I was like, yeah, that wasn't my family.
It wasn't theirs either, but
that wasn't my family, bro. That wasn't my family. So, and I know a lot of the MST brothers get upset with me. They used to, it's all love, but Turtle Island was brought up by the good brother Emmanuel, and I'm not sure where you were going with that, bro. But I do like your point that we have to educate ourselves by the way of the vetted sources and factual knowledge. So I think you were sent here by Doc.
Don't tell nobody, Emmanuel. No.
All right. So, one of the conversations I have, where are the ships? Where are the ships? I always thought that was one of the things that I always battled back with, the MST brothers when they were. If the transatlantic slave trade really happened, where are the ships? I was like, bro, they were made out of wood.
Well, not just
most of the houses that were made out of wood 100 years ago can't be found right now. What are you talking about, dumb? But so did the transatlantic? I'm sorry, I stopped your wisdom. Proceed.
Like Lauryn Hill said, wisdom is better than silver and gold. No,
you know what? I got to make sure people know that they messing and they're learning and earning from the conscious battle rapper.
I just want to say that's another. You have to realize that Black folks have been saying stuff like that for a century. These again are all distractions. So this is where when people keep coming to you with nonsense, you have to look in the mirror yourself, brother Varner, in all Coleman love. Look at
Coleman
yourself in
love.
the mirror. What is it that's so welcoming to nonsense about yourself? Because I know me, I'm not a welcome mat to nonsense. So people can pretty much tell, uh, even when I'll say something, my eyebrow raises something. They can tell that probably nonsense is not in this space. So you have to ask yourself, why do people keep coming to you with nonsense after nonsense rather than challenging themselves to prepare some knowledge and facts, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's challenging what they were taught to believe, even if it's reading more beyond just that one false book that they love so much. So this is why I also tell Black folks, including in your families, if you know that your family or your friendship circle or the organizations you're a member of or your religious groups love to perpetuate some half accuracies, they found like one page of something, and that one page is like the world revolves around it. And by the way, it's also how cults are developed. You have to ask yourself, are you going to tolerate that? And if so, how much are you going to tolerate? Because for me, I always have a time limit. My time limit is very brief because I have a lot of work to do to advance our people. The work that I do means I'm going to lay a foundation for future generations of our people for centuries to come, the same as trailblazers who came before I even existed. That's what every Black person who claims that they're doing work to help our people needs to do. Whether you're doing these videos that you're doing, writings, presentations, research, teachings, music, physical, visual arts, whatever you're doing, it has to be, as W.B. Du Bois and Harold Cruse and them explain, and also Marcus Garvey, he used art as well. It has to be something you're using it to express a message, and it has to have lasting results. So when Black folks say transatlantic slavery didn't happen, that is a convenient consciousness for them. First of all, that's convenient consciousness. It means that they also don't comprehend why Marcus Garvey had issues as well when he bought up ships himself and he did not keep the receipts for the ships. If you understand why he was eventually held legally liable, and that's a long story, but that's an example of you're not going to always have evidence when you're talking about centuries of ships. And by the way, these Black folks who claim transatlantic slavery never happened will never really question the existence of thousands of years of other forms of slavery. Like humans have enslaved each other for hundreds of thousands of years. It's just that transatlantic slavery is a specific form of slavery, particularly for Africans, racially Black folks, okay, which is the reason why we were circulated around the world, and it was the longest span of enslavement, okay? And it still has lasting impacts, but we've also built cultures around the world. So people who claim that transatlantic slavery never happened, it suits their falsehood about our origins. So, if they insist on saying that, that just proves that they don't read much. And again, these are the people you do not want to be on your PTA meetings. You don't want them in front of school board meetings. You don't want them on board of directors. There's all types of places where people who have those viewpoints will be excluded. And it's a self-fulfilling prophecy as well. People with those contrary viewpoints, and I've been in organizations with Black radicals who have these viewpoints, and they'll say things like, we need to build up firearms. The end of days are coming. And then when people don't want to include them in real work, they say, well, you don't want to include me because I'm a change maker, but you're not really a change maker. You're a distractor, because like telling us false things, it's a form of brainwashing as well. So this is just where Black folks have to understand. We have to focus without our peripheral being everywhere. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hey, one of the other classmates just popped a question in the chat. What would you say to Oladoya, and his account of the customs of his people. That was an interesting book. I read that. Wow, I think I was out of college when that book came out. But I'm not sure how it necessarily relates to this conversation.
Yeah, I wouldn't say anything to him.
All right. You know what, J Soul, we'll tap into that into a different conversation. I want to make sure that we're staying on code and staying on topic. I see where you're going with this, but I definitely want to put this in a different conversation. So, hey, J Soul, I did catch your other comment. Please provide the sources that show that we're not Hebrew. And look, I already know Doc's not going there. She's going to tell you to do your own research. So,
well, look, if he wants to be Hebrew, then have fun. Like I said, believe what you believe, receive what you receive. You just can't deceive who you want to deceive. So have fun with the Hebrew identity.
Well, you know what? That's interesting that you bring that up, because when I studied my family history, one of them was listed as, now I know that Black Jews and Hebrews can be different, but one of my ancestors was a quote unquote Black Jew that came from the islands. So we're doing some research to find out more about her. But Moors, Indigenous Identifiers, and Melanated Individuals, you already talked about that, so I'm going to pull that one off the table.
Well, I want to clarify, we're talking about Black Jews, we're talking about African Jews, we're talking about authentic Judaism there. So like the original Jews are a nation ethnicity of people who were racially categorized as Asian. And then we have African Jews, and then we have also indigenous Jews. So my father is Jewish. He converted to Judaism 30 years ago. He's a Black man. So that's actually real Judaism, which is counter to people who have identities that's actually anti-Jewish. And that has a different identity than being a Black Jew who's authentically Jewish. So that's when people, So if you're Black, and a lot of times Black Jews wonder why we call them Black Jews, because a lot of times, despite white Jews being the population size minority of the world in terms of racial identity, a lot of times when you say Jewish, people assume you're talking about European Jews. And that's because of the prevalence of particular incidents over the past century. But we always have to,
I was saying, whenever I use the term European Jew, people look at me crazy for a second, like, isn't that aren't you saying the same thing twice? And
no, the original Jews are racially categorized as Asian. Then the next contributors to Judaism are African Jews, and that's racially Black. And then we also have indigenous to Western Hemisphere Jews. So that's why when we say Black Jews, to make sure people know this is authentic Judaism, people who are actually Jewish. And like Ethiopian Jews, for example. So my father's synagogue has a large population of Ethiopian Jews as well.
Understood. Okay. All right. So how should we vet the information that comes our way? I should have put "our" in capital letters. How should we vet the information that comes our way?
Yeah, well, it goes back to the phrase I use, believe what you believe. So I don't debate everything. I don't get into arguments because, again, most people are not prepared to have expansive discussions. They've read the things that really fit with what they already believe anyway. And so you just have to be content with people wanting to be what they want to be, but just letting people know that this is what we want to represent our people. We want our people to understand the work that needs to be done to help our people. The work means, what are the resources our people need to address medical and health services? The work our people need to address health, education, school resources. And when I say school resources, it has to start at home. I don't want to hear about any more banned book crying and all that stuff. If you're not reading anyway, why do you care about books being banned? Okay. And also we talk about economic development, workforce, skills, utilizing resources that are already paid through our taxes. So tell people that they can believe what they want to believe. But if they hold on to that, they're spending a lot of time believing that, but they're not putting real time into helping our people. So this is why I tell Black folks, put the real time, the real resources, and the real money in terms of donations into the Black people who are actually invested in factual information and doing factual work to help our people. The people who believe that other stuff and they really want to hold on to it, please don't put your time and money into all of that. Let them do that out of their own pockets. But put your time, resources, and your donations into the people who are accessing factual information, even if it's uncomfortable. Some people were raised to believe that they are Indigenous, and they learned that the Indigenous was because they were freedmen, which, yes, they can be considered Indigenous, but they did not qualify for Indigenous reparations and all types of other things. So there's still Black folks who are native to West Africa. Surprise! Okay, that's the meaning of freedmen in the first place. Okay, y'all? So, I mean...
Interesting.
I mean,
But
this is just we don't need history classes in K through 12 in colleges to teach us some things should be basic to Black folks. This is why I tell Black folks, CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, and most of social media and news stations overall want you all to be clueless as to anything that pops up as popular at any given moment. They want y'all to not know anything until it's put in a history book and taught in schools. So therefore, Black folks are going to be outraged because this is not taught in schools. This is not in the history books. This is why I specialize in teaching our people how to teach history in the household, teaching history in our communities. Again, like I always say, we were the first people to put books on street corners because we were not allowed in schools. We were not allowed in bookstores. We were not allowed in libraries. So it was not white liberals who decided, hey, let's put bookstores on street corners. We were the first people to do those bookshelves on street corners. So therefore, we have to do that still. And if somebody steals the book, let them have the book, okay? What we want is for people to read. And I tell Black folks, you can read stuff that's false. I tell my students, you can read stuff that's false. The thing about knowledge is you know that it's false because you know fact. So you still can open the false books, but you read it and you're like, dang, Sertima was tripping. Okay, because you knew the facts.
Okay, Code Keepers. Another great class. And once again, if you want to reach out, go to 365diversity.com and you can find all the great things that Doc brings to the table. Before we talk about the last things that Doc brings to the table, go to 365diversity.com. That's 365diversity.com. Before we talk about things she brings to the table, of course, I have to do my commercial. So stay tuned.
Say that they are living paycheck to paycheck.
You will be wealthier.
My wife and I were flipping our first house.
When you shift the way you see things, then your life is going to shift.
Money is a tool for what you want. Money is not what you want. You don't want money.
So that goes to show that you don't have faith when you do not take your money and put it into those accounts to earn interest. When you're scared thinking that something is going to happen, God says, who are you trusting in? Because I'm the one that has created the money system.
Well, I then got offered $350 million for my company.
It says you owe about $538,000.
That the individual and the individual family unit is responsible for filling their own cups.
I went from being homeless and living on the street to owning properties in Baltimore.
And that's why I decided to start a bank.
This is something that Martin Luther King spoke about.
Stupid mistakes and failures, we continued stumbling forward
because the Black community, for the most part, had to go and rent.
All right, Code Keepers. So go to generationalflip.com. That's generationalflip.com. Check out what we've put together. It's a great way to kind of, I'm tripping. It's a great way to give yourself that boost in that mindset if you're interested in wealth. Now, some of us are interested in history, some of us are interested in philanthropies, some of us are interested in social change. If you're kind of like me and you're interested in them all, but you really have a bent toward building and maintaining wealth, then check out generationalflip.com. That's generationalflip.com. Doc, why don't you talk about what they can learn and earn from you, and then we'll be out of here.
Yeah, so people can contact me for a bunch of readings. I have a bunch of full books and full articles on my shared Google Drive. So you can email me by using my email address, kimya@365diversity.com, and respectfully introduce yourself. I don't email me if you want to fuss about being indigenous or whatever. Keep that to yourself. But if you want to actually contact me to get some readings, you can contact me. I also do presentations and trainings about health. I do resource tables about health, and I do economic development sessions. So I do Harold Cruse and other economic development sessions that address how we use our culture. If we understand our culture, that means that we can understand how to develop our culture and look at political and economic development. And this is a cross-political approaches. It doesn't mean you trust any politician. It doesn't mean you trust any political party. It means that we research, we look for research and data analysis to hold people financially accountable, and also accountable for direct effects that impact Black people and trickle-down effects. And this is also what Dr. Thomas Sowell and William Julius Wilson addressed. When you're looking at, if the emphasis is on socioeconomic status, we still want to trickle down good impact for Black folks. Even if people say we don't want to talk about race, then there better be a good trickle-down effect for Black folks still, though. All right, even if they don't want to talk about race, race is always interlocked in everything, even if they don't want to talk about that. So that's something that I want people to understand when we're talking about politics. Politics is not just during election time. It's 24/7, 365, which is why I call myself 365 Diversity. You have to understand how all of this is a constant process. So if you want to understand it more, you can contact me for some readings. And again, I do presentations and trainings because as a people, we have to train ourselves literally, understand how Marcus Garvey and other leaders wanted us to be prepared to do this real work. And it means that we have to set a backdrop for future generations to come as well. And you cannot rely on everyone else to change for our people's progress. If you think that everyone else is going to change, like, oh, Black folks are struggling, well, we're going to change for y'all. That's never going to happen, okay? So what are we going to do to be an intellectually informed, not paranoid, not conspiracy theory, not creating our own version of history and stuff, but actually intellectually informed people who know how to do qualitative research, quantitative research, but first we know how to do theories, because Harold Cruse said we need to increase our own concepts, our own theories, our own research, and our own actions for changes. And it doesn't mean you have to be formally educated in terms of going to colleges and universities to do that, okay? Because again, Harold Cruse did not have a bachelor's degree, and he was still hired as a professor and received tenure because his work was just that amazing. So I can also send you some Harold Cruse writings as well. There's so much work for our people to do. And I encourage everyone to, instead of wanting to debate everything, instead of wanting to prove everything to everyone, let some people be where they are, okay? Let some people believe what they want to believe. But like I keep saying, believe what you want, receive what you want. You cannot deceive who you want. So let people know if they want to do something, let them keep that to themselves and let them know that you can't necessarily save them if that approach fails for them, okay? They can fail themselves if they want to, but they're not going to fail Black folks. All right, that's my whole purpose. If people want to have certain false beliefs, they can fail on their own boat, but they cannot fail all Black folks. And like Andre 3000 said, whatever floats your boat or finds your lost remote. All right.
This is our battle rap conscious queen, Doc. That kind of reminds what you were just saying, that we have to do some different things.
Every Black trailblazer said that. Like, whenever Black folks are mad at me, I tell people, I'm saying what Black trailblazers have said for 5 centuries regarding race. And as Africans, we've said that for thousands of years. So you can't support it when it's out of one person's voice, but then you're mad because it's out of another person's voice because you don't like them for other reasons. These are voices. These I'm saying what Anna Julia Cooper said, Ida B. Wells, Magdalena Walker, W.B. Du Bois, Harold Cruse, Marcus Garvey, E. Franklin Frazier. We have millions, if not billions, of Black folks who've done this work. It's not brand new. Nobody is keeping this information from us. I want Black folks to stop claiming that we don't have access to knowledge. We have access to readings. I share readings with our people around the world. I'm talking about Black folks, like really Black, like real Black folks, okay? Real Black folks, not just brown-skinned people who might be at the cookout. I'm talking about real Black folks around the world, okay? I share readings with our people around the world because I do global collaborations, because we want our people to never wait for governments and everyone to just do, we're going to change for y'all. We have access to our people who do this work out of our own pockets a lot of times. Increasing reading, increasing knowledge, increasing all of this stuff. So Black folks have to stop being paranoid and claiming. And by the way, I've been having conversations just real quick, Brother Varner. Can I say this real quick?
Yeah, real quick.
Okay. I had this conversation yesterday, today, and last week. I keep meeting Black folks who are proud that they don't use government resources, by the way, that are paid through our taxes, and they're proud that they don't file taxes and they're supposed to. I really want our people to be careful with that, okay? I'm also a criminologist, so I specialize in crime reduction. So remember, Black folks, if you're someone who's claiming to be anti-establishment, you're pretending to be nomad, sovereign citizen, that's not really existing, okay? You're not really doing that. Instead, you're putting that on the rest of our backs, because other Black folks are now paying higher taxes because you are escaping accountability. So when you say you're escaping accountability and not paying taxes and all this stuff, that means other Black folks are doing that. And Black folks keep coming to me. They're so proud about this because they think that I am a Black radical who's going to be welcoming to that. Look here, I'm a Black radical who pays taxes. And if you understand the history of Black radicalism, the history of Black radicalism is pay for what you're supposed to pay for and use what you're supposed to use. It ain't the whole, go in the basement and get some firearms stuff that y'all been taught. So I want y'all to understand the origins of Black radicalism, pro-Blackness, Black power, Black pride, the origins of Pan-Africanism, Black nationalism. It ain't the stuff that people get being told, like go in the basement, get some firearms. That's that European stuff that y'all are doing. Y'all better stop this, okay? And I'm just gonna stop there.
I think that's the next class. I think that's the next class. Code Keepers, this is the Get On Code platform. Get on Code, our Black empowerment. Hey, go out and do some things that are going to empower yourselves. Make sure you take copious notes. I did, and we love y'all. We got to save something for the next time. Sis.